If you're familiar with my channel, you may notice that I have made a couple of videos, a single TBR, and then largely gone silent on YouTube for the last month. This is simply a case of me not wanting to bombard you all with non-content. I could have made a top 10 fantasy book covers video, or a most anticipated books of 2021 video. But it would be filler content, and I know any audience I manage to gather will see right through such things. Personally, I'd rather make sporadic videos that actually mean something than make content that's just there to fill up space. I will at the very least have one video per month up discussing the books I'm planning to read and the books I've previously read, but beyond that I will post videos only when I feel I have something to add to the discussion. As for reviews, they are coming, but I want to read more books before I start posting reviews. While a book should be able to stand alone and be judged on its own merits, a familiarity with the genre, tropes and literary zeitgeist will make for better, more grounded reviews, and can be related back to one another, add more context to the critiques. So yes, reviews are coming. I just wanted to broaden my experiences a little over the coming month or so, and over the previous few months. After all, offering an uninformed opinion is of little value to anyone. So, with that out of the way, onto the wrap-up, then onto the TBR for September. Since starting this channel, I've made a point to read a fair few books, so this wrap-up is actually for the last 3 months, as I wanted to have a larger list of books to discuss. So, what have I read in that time? I've read the following books. Stormfront by Jim Butcher, an urban fantasy about a wizard in Chicago, and the first in the Dresden Files series. The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, a popular dystopian novel often labelled as YA. Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, a contemporary sci-fi about parallel universes. The Terminal Man by Michael Crichton, a hard sci-fi about transhumanism written in the 1970s. A Certain Age by Rebecca Ray, a coming-of-age story about an overly promiscuous teen. The Black God's Drum by P. Jelly Clark, an alternative history novella set in post-Civil War New Orleans. Ancillary Justice by Ann Leckie, a sci-fi novel about a displaced AI seeking revenge. A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin, a classic high fantasy suitable for children. PRADOR Moon by Neil Asher, a pulp sci-fi space opera about a war with an alien race and the first in the Polity series. The Devil You Know by Mike Carey, an urban horror about an exorcist in an alternate London. And finally, The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, a huge 1,200 plus page behemoth epic fantasy, and the first book in the Stormlight archives. Whilst not strictly a book, in place of audiobooks in the last 2 months, I've instead listened to the first season of the radio drama podcast, The Magnus Archives, an urban horror episodic podcast with slight Lovecraftian themes, which I will also be discussing on this channel. After all, if an audiobook counts, an audio podcast should probably count too. That makes 12 books in total, though that number is somewhat misleading, as something the size of The Way of Kings is at least 10 times larger than something like The Black God's Drum. Overall, I read more that I enjoyed than I didn't enjoy in the last few months. I've started a few key series I intend to continue on with going forwards, and I'm generally enjoying the act of reading for pleasure. Reviews for these books are in the works, and I hope you'll seek them out come October when I intend to start posting them. As for September, I have quite a list of books I intend to read. As with last month, there is a buddy read that I run on my Discord server, an active community of around 24 people so far who discuss books, geek culture and current events. It's a casual community, though unlike many, it's neither pandering to the popular hive mind opinions, nor does it stifle discussion due to social justice virtue signalling. You're free to express your opinions and actually debate, which I feel makes it a unique community. There was a vote on what books we'd be reading this month, and 2 books were chosen. Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo was the first book chosen. A city-based fantasy novel about a ragtag group doing some kind of heist, or at least that's what I've heard. Regularly labelled as YA, I expect a fairly easy read with this one, with some reliance on tropes, but I know very little of the book, and have seen it highly rated by a few people who I trust, so I'm looking forward to seeing if it holds up, or if it embodies the stereotypical YA fantasy romance formula that is so popular on Booktube. Hopefully it's the former in this case. Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky was the second book chosen, and if you thought I knew very little about the first book, this one I know even less about. It's a sci-fi space opera set on what I believe is a seeding ship, in which the story is told from 2 perspectives, the first being a person on board the ship and the second being a colony of spiders. Yes, that's it. That's all I know. And I have no idea how they pulled this off either. Are these regular spiders? Alien space spiders? Are they sentient? Are they not? Guess I'll have to find out. But I am suitably intrigued. That's it for the buddy read. If you want to read along with these 2 and discuss them on the Discord channel, you're very welcome. Or if you would like to discuss last month's buddy reads, which were The Way of Kings and PRADOR Moon, people who have freshly read them are eager to discuss them on Discord right now, and you're welcome to join us. The link is in the description below. As for my other reading plans for September, I have a few I would like to get to, but I suspect I won't get to them all. I would like to return to the Dresden Files and read Full Moon, as the series is light enough that it will work as a good palate cleanser, and as we don't have an urban fantasy in the buddy read, I feel it'll be a nice contrast. I have heard that this is the weakest book in the series, so I don't know if I'll like it, but if I don't dislike this one, I suspect I'll have a series that I will thoroughly enjoy through to the end. Another channel that I follow, Owen J. Wall, is planning a buddy read, The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter, and I would like to read along with that as well. It's a traditional high fantasy inspired by African history and myth, which sounds very interesting. Presumably it'll also have dragons in it, but that's pretty much all I know. Finally, and as a change of pace, I would like to read The Bone Clocks by David Mitchell. My understanding is that this book is about immortals who have the ability to drain the life out of others in some manner, and it's told in a non-linear fashion. That's all I really know. I don't actually have any details, or even know if that premise is true. I may have got the premise slightly wrong there. In order to avoid spoilers, I've purposely gone in dark with this one, as I was recommended that you should go in dark for this one. There's a good chance I won't reach it, as this is the 5th book on my list now, but it's on my list regardless. Hopefully I'll be able to get to all 5. So, that's my September TBR. I look forward to discussing some of these books with you all in the coming months, and I'll have more videos for you soon, as I have a few topics of discussion I would like to delve into and a few videos in the works. Until next time, thanks for listening.